really good. We feel really grateful. Honestly, this is gonna go a long way for us. We're doing this as a business. We already have people on this team, and it would goes a long way for us, especially when we have manufacturing setups in India. And we're excited because it can help us accelerate a lot of things that we have in the pipeline.
Yeah. I think we're also a little surprised. You get so much feedback throughout the judging process, and you're always trying to make an effort to change that. And so it's nice to see that maybe some of our efforts paid off. I think that one of the things that's really interesting is because you have such a wide range of 10 judges, it means that there's a lot of different perspectives, both from a circular economy background and also in terms of the sectors that people engage with. And that means that there's often not one universal answer, which is why a lot of these things are seen as wicked problems. And so getting this broad range of backgrounds, the feedback we get varies and it might not always agree, or it kind of builds on each other, and throughout the stages that allows us to refine it, which I think is really great. And we definitely made changes to our model over time based on the feedback that we were getting, and even just talking to some of the judges afterwards, they have so many skills and expertise and knowledge that will allow us to build things further. Like Alicia, and she has a lot of expertise in material, biomaterials, and that's going to be super valuable going forward.
Yeah, I agree. Feedback is really great. I think the difference between the Wege Prize feedback is it's a lot more thoughtful. Somebody has read 8 pages of your document every month for 3 months. They've seen how it's transitioned. They have gone into every single nitty-gritty of the image description. That kind of feedback is very different from general, oh, this is great, or these are the things you can do better. It's a lot more, this one specific aspect can be changed by doing this specific thing. It's very different. It's very useful, very tactical, very thoughtful. And so I think that's a big difference.
Yeah, and it's nice when sometimes they're oh, that's good. It's a rare comment. I'm really grateful for it. You're oh, cool, okay, our change was worth it, Yeah. So that was also nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big question for sure. I think I've been fortunate in some ways just being at university. At a school like Yale, we've definitely had interdisciplinary teams, people who've come from different countries, different work experiences, different lived experiences entirely. But I think what this definitely does differently is it's not just one aspect of a problem. And so if you're doing a college project, you're building a prototype, and that is this doesn't involve just building a prototype, it's building the business plan. Why is this a problem that needs to be solved? Building the social aspects of this, who gets impacted, how do they get impacted, what are all the downstream impacts of what this looks like, and then how is it scalable, how is it practical, how is it, so there's a lot more that we as a team have to think of and then that kind of interdisciplinary backgrounds really help with something like that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of our team was at the School of the Environment, and the Environment School and just the environment field in general is inherently quite interdisciplinary. There's people coming from backgrounds like science, both of us have chemistry backgrounds, but other members in our team had worked more energy justice related things, or worked in finance and venture capital. And at the same time, there's these other things that need to be incorporated, like policy, and the things that Jinali mentioned.
Yeah.
And so that is, I think, exciting because also there's a lot of environmental challenges, but a lot of times the opportunities come when you bridge different areas, because there's things that maybe work in one area that haven't been applied to another area and could be translated across. And I know I've found that even in my graduate studies. I learned about some forestry things and about burning, and then that applies to the crop waste for the Banoffee work that we're doing. We're oh, how does this all relate? And I think, yeah, it's really great, and I can see the value in having the transdisciplinary team structure.
Look at Wege as kind of a startup accelerator almost. If you have an idea and you don't know how to go about the steps of building it and making it concrete, this allows you and gives you a framework to do that in a way that it's not just, it doesn't seem like a massive undertaking. It seems okay, let's figure out the problem first. Let's figure out a basic MVP first. Let's figure out feasibility. So the structure of this program kind of is like what I would
Like steps you through.
yeah, like a Y Combinator would do for a startup. It's what this does, but just for circular economy based ideas, and kind of is like, how can we help you scale that? And that whole process is like iterative. You get access to experts, you get access to like a framework that allows you to build in a way that can really create something that you leave this competition with, saying like, okay, I want to do this. And I think for us especially, like, I'm going full time from May. I graduated from the university. I'm saying kind of no to the corporate jobs, going back to India, moving, doing this full time. And so this entire process has definitely helped refine that so much that we have that kind of faith in some capacity.
And I also think, like, regardless of whether you plan to take a concept forward beyond Wege Prize, it is really useful for thinking through things in a thorough way. And I think the skills you get in terms of like critically analysing all the different aspects of the problem, which the judges' feedback helps with, is really useful for just any project and anything you're doing in life. Like, I think a lot of circularity thinking is really great, and it should be applied to a business setting, it should be applied to government settings. So regardless of whether someone wants to continue with their Wege project, the thinking is going to be valuable going forward. I think it's been, honestly, probably one of my favourite parts has been meeting all the other teams. Like, not only are their ideas really exciting, and it's been great to learn more about those, I just think the kinds of people that Wege attracts has led to really interesting conversations. Like, everyone kind of is engaging with science and applying that to an environmental setting, but also has like quite a practical view of it, and making sure that science doesn't just get stuck in the lab, it actually gets translated beyond that. And it's been really fun to talk to people about that with a similar kind of outlook, but bringing in like a lot of different backgrounds. And yeah, it's just been really fun. We've had great conversations over lunch today, which has been awesome.
Yeah, I agree entirely. Yeah, when you're at school, everybody cares about problems. It's just very hard to develop practical solutions that you can drive. And here you're meeting people who are like, okay, I can solve 20% of this problem, but let me start somewhere instead of finding problems with the solution and poking holes at something. But at least it's a step forward, and I think everyone comes from that same thought process of, let's do something, even if it's local, even if it's small, even if it affects 25 people, let's do that, and then let's figure out what's next and how to scale and how to improve. But that idea of boots on the ground, building something practically that works, it's not about like the ideal solution, it's just about like a step in the right direction.
Yeah, and I recently heard about like a questioning kind of like approach in that questions, or generative questions. And I think evaluative questions kind of are more critical and like poke holes and things, which is good when you're trying to figure out like where might something go wrong. But generative questions are really great for building things up, and I think that people have a good combination of both. And I think especially in the generative side, people are like, as Jinali said, problem solving.
Yeah, I think our entire team are students of sustainability, and we're going into that world in jobs where we are like in some ways either advising people on sustainability or making sustainability decisions for large companies, or just driving a small business. So because we're in those kind of roles, like just thinking about things a lot more holistically, thinking about things also a lot more practically, and then kind of learning how to communicate something and say, okay, it's not perfect, but it's better than what the alternative today is. And how do you shape that? How do you frame that? How do you prevent somebody from what's the, like, there's always like a fine line between doing a lot versus kind of doing kind of nothing and sitting and poking holes, and that kind of, this pushes us to like, how do you take that step and like make decisions that are like, step in the right direction.
I think like whatever roles and positions we go into the future, it's like nice to be able to think, okay, what do we have now? Like, what are the practical realities of that? Kind of like thinking, what are the possibilities and the vision, and like how could you get there is also super useful. And I think a lot of companies are looking for that, and a lot of organizations. So it's going to be